The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It is Tuesday, the 9th day of April 2024. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. I'm Jamel Hartman. He's Rajay Denbrook, and Maya Palacio will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Rajster, what's poppin', player?
Greetings, Mr. Hartman. Greetings. How are you today?
I can't complain, man. It's still early, and a lot going on that I think we're gonna have fun with today, man.
Yeah, you're silly.
On my face. Rod, you're licking your lips for this conversation. I know it.
And just a little bit. It's low hanging fruit, It's easy to grab it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. We're gonna enjoy today. We're gonna enjoy today. How was your weekend? You do anything good?
Yeah, just with the girls.
Yeah,
busy with the girls. Yep.
It's always good, man. Quality time. Actually, I just saw something. I just saw a post literally as I came in this morning, and it was someone posted something about there was fights every day in some school in Missouri, and a group of fathers got together, and they called themselves the Dads Group or something, and they took shifts going to the school daily, and there were no more fights. Saying that because, I think, I asked, how was your weekend, whatever. Most people will, oh, well, that sounds boring. I went this and went that. But there's nothing like quality time with your children and the ones you love, right? So that quality time can make the difference in so many other things that they do. So keep your things, man.
80, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be like 75, 80 years old and they're not spending time with me. And then they come and say, well, you didn't spend time with us. There's one thing I know, you put in the work early.
Yeah. I always used to tell a friend of mine, she's a single mother of 3, and I used to always tell her, trust me, your children will grow up appreciating what you've done for them. They most likely 95 to 100% will. So you keep doing what you got to do. And if you don't have that support, your children will remember that as well. All righty. Well, greetings, everyone, and thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today. We're going to discuss, the big news right now. The big news is Sir John. We're going to be discussing the conversation about Sir John's potential return to the political scene. All right. The Daily Play is a remember when. Raj has got this, man. He's got this. I got it. And this one, actually, I think it's Suzanne Ingham in the audience. She's always asking for Bermuda-related questions. If you want Bermuda-related questions during Bermuda Trivia, you can go purchase that. But this is a Bermuda-related question. So hopefully Suzanne Ingham knows the answer to this Bermuda-related question. By the way, Mr. Photogenic just put up something on Instagram on Bermuda Trivia. Instagram page, which is quite hilarious. So if you haven't checked, make sure you do it after the show, by the way. But go check Bermuda Trivia on Instagram and whatever other socials you can find them on. But anyway, where was it? Oh, don't forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Suzanne Ingham says, awesome day to you, Jamel and Rajay. Great to see you again, Raj, as she says, and she says, yes, I have your trivia. They only have one, but I got it. All right, so let's jump into the convo, Raj. Let's Sir John, let me be the first to say this, because I don't know how Rajay feels, folks, and I'm glad I don't, because that's the purpose of this show, to have conversation. Let's be just be honest here. Sir John is not without fault. Sir John is, like any other leader, not perfect. He had his flaws. There are people who feel that as a Black premier, he did not do enough to help Black people progress. And then there are some who think he was the greatest leader Bermuda's ever had. Yes, he may have got his, but he ensured that Bermudians got theirs too. He is, responsible for the wealth of Bermuda and Bermuda's business reputation. There are so many people who have, sit on different sides of the fence. Regardless of how you feel about Sir John as a leader, I think we can all admit that unless you're in a clique within a certain group right now, economically, the country was probably in a better space during his premiership. That doesn't mean we were in a better social space. It doesn't mean that there was no racism or everything was great. But many would feel that during his tenure, you had more opportunities to be successful. There are some who feel the opposite of that, right? Now, question of the morning is, what are your thoughts on Sir John's possible return to politics? That's the question. What are your thoughts on Sir John's possible return to politics? And he said quite a lot yesterday, Raj. I don't know if you had a chance to read or watch everything he said, but he said a lot, and a few things resonated with me. Not sure what resonated with you, but audience, let us know your thoughts on Sir John Swan's possible return to politics. Raj.
Yeah, wasn't expecting that one. That came out of left field, and it's hard to surprise me, Jamel. Let's say, how old's Trump again? Trump's what, 79?
You know what? You keep going. I'm gonna look it up, because I think
not to bring the American lens, because the American lens is everywhere. We don't need it all the time, but him and what, Biden's 81, 82,
they're very similar in age.
Right. And I think there is a lot to say, about
Donald Trump's 77, sorry.
Okay. Age in politics. And Sir John is 88. And not to say that one's age discounts one from public office, right? But you have to, I don't know. I feel like that in and of itself is an undermining factor. I missed out on the majority of his leadership, right? Because I was born in 1990. So I was starting to become self-aware around when the PLP came in. So I missed all of it, right? But yeah, it's not sinking for me. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. I mean, yeah, he has all of this expertise. He's the architect of modern Bermuda and all of these things, but we are barreling into the 21st century, and I want to see genuinely new faces, competent faces. And new doesn't mean competent, you know what I mean? But I want to see new.
Yeah, thanks for qualifying that, Raj.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, new doesn't mean competent. I want to see new competent faces, because for me, I mean, new and competent equals innovation for me. New and competent equals progress, and I've seen new and competent, and I'm very excited about new and competent. I don't see a lot of new and competent in politics, if I'm being honest, but I'm seeing a lot of new and competent in the community.
But you said just now, and again, I don't know. You said new competent faces. As I've listened to Sir John, not just on this show, but during conversations with different mediums and the like, Rajay, he actually says the things that a young, competent person would say.
Fair enough.
I get you. I'm with, like, it's for me. I want to see new faces, competent people with fresh ideas to move us forward. The crazy thing is, at 80 years old, he's saying what we expected of the person who dethroned him as the youngest premier in Bermuda's history. You get? I'm torn with this though, Rajay, because in one breath, as I tweeted this morning, we live in a time where everyone screams out against forms of discrimination, right? Like that's the biggest fight, arguing against some form of discrimination. But yet I see certain people, and you didn't do it, I'm not saying you, but see certain people speaking of Sir John's age, right? And I'm just like, so we're comfortable discriminating when something makes us uncomfortable. Mind you, my advice would, Sir John, please go enjoy life. But at the same time, he's saying, look, and he said it on this show, he's almost 89 years old. He's okay. What happens today probably won't impact him in another few years, because as he said, he won't be around. So this is not about him, right? And so his rally call was to young people, Rajay. And I know, I've said it on this show before that we had someone from the IB sector on this show previously. And I go back and watch the shows. I have to. That's part of our job, You can't wake up, do this every day and not go back. You have to go back. You have to, critique yourself. And after I watched this show over and over, I realized how dangerous some of the things that this person was saying. And I'll give you an example. Oh, my life's great. My organization's great. And it was almost like this individual lived in a bubble versus the struggle that non-IB sector Bermudians live in, right? And when I heard Sir John yesterday, this is what stood out to me, Raj. Let me just share this if you don't mind. Let me share this clip because I want to get your thoughts on this. And I think you kind of are the anti this, if that makes sense. But let me share this clip because of all Sir John said yesterday, this stood out to me and it reminded me of that conversation with the person that came on the show from the IB sector that seemed almost oblivious in the most arrogant way as it relates to how they live.
The public out there has given up on its brains. It's thinking. Its only thinking now is, I'm making some money, I'm in these ivory towers in Hamilton, and more of them will be built. And as long as I keep my mouth shut and keep quiet, I can make money, take my vacation, educate my children, and that's fine. I glory them in their spirit. But remember, those children that you send away to school today, or your grandchildren, might not have a comfortable Bermuda to come back to. And so we will lose by your non-participation in the process. And I'm saying, since you don't want to be involved with politics, here's an opportunity. Here is the key to you being able to stand up and represent your children and your grandchildren in an independent way.
All righty. What are your thoughts on those comments by Sir John, Rajay?
Yeah, I mean, I think one has to question why at 88 years old does this elder statesman feel the need, to throw his hat in the ring again. I really think that's the relevant question, right? And the biggest thing he's talking about is this idea of like non-participation in Bermudian society and this sense of false security that one gets from whatever their economic activity is, right? And that's a huge problem here. I mean, the middle class is disappearing, the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poor. And a part of this dynamic are people existing in this very sanitized bubble with this false sense of security. And what it's translating into is a very anemic political culture with those who, I would say, I'm going to be very, very careful how I say this. The more educated of us, I want to make sure I say that properly, because I mean, if you're involved in that level of economic activity, you do need to have a certain level of qualification, right? And the people who are struggling here at the moment are people who don't have that level of qualification. So, and with that with that level of training does come a certain level of competence, right? And all of that competence is being sucked out of the political culture, is being sucked out of the attention that we need to be giving to our social issues, right? So here you have people existing in their ivory towers with this sense of progress when so much of the country is suffering and falling apart. But if we had a very rich and very active and very concerned political culture, we would be able to give like substantive attention to those things. So at 88 years old, for this elder statesman who has no personal reasons to, you know what I mean? Like you said, he's in the next 12 years, he'll be transitioned to the ancestors. He's built his wealth.
Mm-hmm.
He has his legacy. So for this man to go, you know what? I at least, maybe me throwing my hat in the ring is going to inspire some people to wake up. And the other thing that I think, people always scoff at this idea of independence, right? Somebody's, they run as an independent, rather independence, like TS, independent, not CE. If independents run, they're going to dilute the vote, et cetera, et cetera. But a counter narrative I've been hearing, and I think we've all heard for a while, is people would love to see a slew of independents run to see if that could change the political tide. People were saying we need a new party, new leadership. Why not? Why not have people? I mean, it's right there within our political structure to do that. Why can't people go run as independents and bring about a political political shift in that way? But I think that's what it is. In his comments just now, all you heard was concern. And I agree with him. And if we continue down this road of competent people and concerned people and sincere people not, get involved in politics, you're going to see a lot more issues for a long time.
If we had a humble premier sitting in office right now, that humble premier will feel disrespected. That humble premier would feel embarrassed. That a senior statesman, who's been retired almost 30 years, right? Is it 30 or 30 years? Because I think he retired in 90 after 94, 95. Is literally considering throwing his hat in the ring. But as Charles H. Jefferson II says here, he said so much more in that entire conversation. Charles H. Jefferson II says, Sir John gave a clarion call to younger people to get involved for Bermuda, not for a party. I believe he's the only one with the cachet to make that call. He did. He threw it down. I think what's getting lost is, so you want to focus on he's 88 years old, but he literally was throwing it down like to young people, like, look, get involved. Like, okay, life's great now, right? You're making this money. You're taking your trips. Your children are in private institutions. Things are great. That can change so quickly. That can change so quickly. Simply because you have no interest. Now, there are people probably saying, well, Jamal and Roger, you both aren't putting your names in the hat. I've been there. Roger's been very involved recently. And honestly, I've said it to you all before. You won't vote for me based on my thought processes. I've shared my thoughts with you. I know you wouldn't vote for me because I would do what's in your best interest. Look how you treated Mark Dean. This man loved you all. Oh, because of the way he said it. Well, remember, they didn't like the way that Dr. King spoke at times. They didn't like the way that Malcolm X. There were people, like, remember, history makes us believe that we all supported these people. We didn't. Colin Kaepernick, I remember when he first started, that's not a great way to do it. I remember looking at TV One or whatever it's called, and all the black panelists oh, well, the national anthem's such a great song. I wish he would have chosen another time. And then over time, they changed their stance, right? Because it became popular. So I'm speaking to one of my colleagues yesterday and speaking about how we get Black people in positions when they wait for something to be popular before they jump on it. Speaking about Women's History Month, right? You know, a lot of Black women in IB, they jump on that and they latch on. And I said it reminded me of some Black men in high positions during the George Floyd march. It was popular. They jumped on, latched onto it. But what about the everyday problems that we should be fighting against? The legislation and policies that are creating havoc for your people. See, that's too risky. But see, it comes across when you latch on to these popular things like the women's movement and the LGBT movements and the popular Black movements when they become popular. It makes you look good, like you're about something. You ain't about, ooh, I can't say that. But you aren't. What you are about is self. You are about self. And that's okay. That's who you want to be. But Sir John made a call to people yesterday. He drew it down. Young people. It's not about a political party. It's about doing your country some justice and serving. We've got a long way to go in this conversation, Keep comments coming. We're going to bring Maya Palacio in for the Daily Hour news break and come back and really get into the meat of the conversation. So stick with us. Raj, I'm going to put you on the spot. Would you run as an independent? Don't answer that yet. We'll do the news first. I think Raj would actually, Raj would do well. You know what? Let's bring my
Take that can and close it back a little bit, sir.
No.
We can have the conversation, but let's not open it too much.
I'm putting it on you, Raj.
Denver's plate is full, sir. We'll talk. Let's talk.
I could be his campaign manager. Okay, let's bring Maya in. All right. I'm just thinking about myself.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hey, MP, how are you?
Feeling pretty good this morning.
I'm going to nominate you or Rajay in an upcoming election.
Why is he putting this on us? We have things to do.
Well, this is why. Apparently,
Maya's face is like.
Well, apparently, you guys are young, and that's Sir John is too old for politics. So I give the people what they want. Younger people under 35. So I'm going to nominate you guys. No, you don't have to accept my nomination, but I'm going to do it.
I'm going to drink my tea.
They're not impressed, audience. They don't like it.
I think there's there's a conversation around that hesitancy. I was about to say apathy. You know what I mean? That there's a conversation around that, but I don't want to take away from the news right now. It's not the time for that.
Okay. All right. Hi, MP. What you got for us today?
Good morning, everyone. This is your Daily Hour News brought to you by the great people at People's Pharmacy. So I wanted to start out by updating from yesterday's news. I remember, Jamal, you asking about paternity leave and when that story happened. Well, I did check back, and that story that I did post about paternity leave was on October 14th of 2019. So yes, before the pandemic, when maternity leave went from 8 weeks to 13 weeks, and then we had paternity for the first time in Bermuda. That was new, and it was just 5 days. Here's a very short clip of when I was talking about it way back in 2019. I decided to do a story on it on my Instagram page, and there were a lot of strong responses. A lot of people offered opinions about how it's unfair for fathers to be, only getting 5 days. Like, where's the equal rights for that?
So it passed in 2019, or it was first discussed in 2019?
Passed. Like, it was in, and it was like literally brand new news, and this was something that just came into effect, and people talking about still how they felt about it, regardless of them finally getting it for the first time. But then others were also explaining things that they were having in their country, and then also how they can get more by going to the BPSU, I believe it was.
Gotcha. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. All right. Now, in other news, as you guys have been talking about, and I'm sure we'll continue this conversation, but yesterday, I believe that maybe half the island was probably shocked when Sir John Swan made this announcement, because on my page on Media Maya, I asked that question specifically, like, were you shocked about this news? And it was basically 50-50 from the responses that I got. However, here's a quick insert of the news that did kind of spark a lot of the, conversations that we're going to have today.
And that's why I'm saying to Smith North, yes or no, would you like for me to run in your district? Will you support me? Now, if I don't get a response, and if there's no public feeling about it and people want to stay where they are, guess what? I don't suffer.
I mean, he ain't lying. It's good either way, right? You know, I mean, I just think the most concerning thing is that this is even on the table.
Well, that's a good question to ask, because I did ask that exact same question, Jamal, about like, what does this mean? Like, what does this announcement that Sir John Swan made affect us? How does this affect us? And what does it mean for the state that we are in politically right now? So these are some of the responses that came up on my page there. I'll read a couple of them, but basically saying, quote, the premier has failed in an epic way. Another saying, he's bored. Sir John Swan just might be bored at this time. Another saying trash. Another saying we are on the verge of collapsing. Others saying that we can't trust who's in power now and things are gonna get worse. And the OBA is concerned about losing the seat because they put in piss poor candidates and we need help. All things of the like. And other things I want to like bring up as well, because of just the audience that I have over there on Media Maya. Now, I know this one is not accurate at all, because obviously I don't have C10 constituents. I don't know who C10 constituents are on my page, but I did ask the question. I posed it. Well, then who would you vote for if you were actually in that seat? So obviously this is like potential. We will have Sir John Swan. It's not put in place yet, but potentially. And for those who did answer to this, which was over 100 votes as of the time I took this screenshot, it was Sir John Swan up by 65%. Then you got Lindsay Simmons, and then Robert King as well, for those stats on my page.
Here's the thing, Maya. I think that the One Bermuda Alliance had a challenge filling out their roster last time around, and it almost seems as if their focus is making sure they have enough candidates, not enough quality candidates. There was a time when the United Bermuda Party, almost everyone had some sort of rich background. When I say rich background, they had careers, they had, they were respected people in their spaces. Now, and this is no disrespect. I mean, I can only go by what I've read and what I see. You just don't see the love that caliber of candidate out there anymore. And I think that's one of the most important things that people are noticing with Sir John is, think about this. He's not returning and joining the OBA. He's considering a return as an independent candidate, because there's a lack of quality. I don't think any of us can sit here and be like honest and say, well, look, there was this time we started saying, well, I'm just congratulations for just putting your head in the ring. That ain't nothing to congratulate nobody on. I'll say this, and it may offend people, but I ain't congratulating stupid people for putting their head up. We have enough stupid people in politics. We don't need more stupid people. Stop congratulating people for putting their damn names in a hat. That's why the country's the way it is. Because we got too many people in politics because they couldn't find jobs. So now, look what we got.
That's 65%. I mean, and it's such a useful lens, right? Because we're here reflecting on Sir John's motivations, why he did it, what it might mean for like our dynamics currently. But Maya collected some extremely valuable data in terms of how people feel about it. 65%? That's huge. What does that say?
Well, I could say I did a similar poll. I remember for Misha Yes, Misha Fubler and Ben Smith. And Ben Smith was up high on my poll as well as the person who was going to win for C8 as well. So that's, but again, like I said, this is still not very accurate statistics with who's actually in C10, but these are what the people of Bermuda do feel for. And I just checked it again, just seeing if there's any update, and it's still, yes, at 65%.
Wow.
So
What does that, I mean, that says so much about how people feel about our current political culture. And it's not just, it's not about, that doesn't say much about Senator Simmons or Mr. King, right? That says little to nothing about them. This is a comment on how people feel about our political options in Bermuda, our political culture in Bermuda. And people are saying, we want somebody not just competent, not just experienced, but who lies outside of these things. We don't want this anymore. That's a really, anybody involved in politics needs to look at that and sit with that for a long time, because that is beyond significant.
But that's a great point, Roger, and I want to emphasize it by saying this: when he's saying beyond, what currently exists, there are people who literally, this is not about not wanting to vote for Lindsey Simmons. This is about not giving David Byrd and the PLP another vote or seat. This is not necessarily about not voting for Mr. King. This is really about people who still don't trust the OBA and don't want to vote for the OBA. So that means that an independent and someone who, is revered in many spaces. Again, that doesn't mean everyone is a Sir John fan. But even people who don't like him will kind of admit, well, you know what, economically, it's doing much better. Interesting space.
Interesting indeed. Well, do want to add in some more information. So Sir John Swan made his announcement around 10 later in 10 a.m. Yesterday, around 10 a.m. late yesterday. So I received also a notice from the Parliament Registry around 1 p.m. that same day saying that the by-election for constituency 10 Smith North is scheduled to take place on May 22nd, 2024. And so now we have a date in place, and now we know there's going to be a by-election that'll be coming forth for constituency 10. Do we know the nomination day yet? Not quite yet, because that will make the full information of what we need to know, so that we know when he actually has to, be nominated and make his decision if he's actually going to run, and anyone else too, truthfully.
May 22nd.
May 22nd.
All right, there you have it. May 22nd by-election. So I guess I'm going to say that if, a by-election is May 22nd, then the premier probably weighed his options, doesn't feel confident that the PLP can maintain the kind of political power that they have right now. And when I say that, the seats, and felt better to just have a by-election. Because I tell you what, if he thought that he can at least maintain what he has, he would have took the country to the polls.
That's not unfair. That's not unfair to say.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. We've asked Mike Dunkley, former premier, the Honorable Michael Dunkley, about his resignation. For me, it really put the premier in a spot. Okay, make him call an election. The fact that he's not speaks volumes. The fact that David Byrd has not dropped that writ up Government House speaks volumes. And I hope people realize that he's not confident the PLP can win by a great majority if they were to go to the polls today. Take that, Premier, drop the writ. Prove me wrong.
Well, the writ for this will actually be put out tomorrow as well for the by-election, but we'll keep you updated on that as we go along. Now, here's a quick clip of a video that I have just about everything going on today, but here's just a short ending of it, just to give you a little bit more insight about what's going on when it comes to this announcement. Now, the announcement in itself was already historic, but if Sir John Swan does decide to run in C10, he could potentially be the first premier to come out of retirement to run independent in an election, the first solo independent win for Bermuda in an election, and potentially maybe even the oldest sitting MP in history. Hillary at 88 years. But this isn't over. We could still see more people actually running in this election. Who knows, the FDM could come and make a comeback, and also the all-women's political party can even make some noise. Or more people could come in and run independent and really split some votes. And right now, most people do seem in favor for Sir John Swan running, but will the people of C10 actually reach out to him to give their support? Or can Lindsay Simmons actually change the minds of an OBA constituency, and can Robert King live up to the legacy of his predecessor?
Well, interesting.
So a lot to consider there, for sure. Now, in other news, as I try to close this out for you guys, but starting with just sad news, because you talk about this a lot, Jamal. You talk about how there are a lot of murders that happen around Bermuda that we tend to forget, but we should keep these names on the, on our forefront, and should say them throughout the community and ask questions about them often. So the police actually put out investigation, updates for 3 murders that happened in Bermuda, starting with the murder of Jordan Otterbridge. Now, Jordan Otterbridge, 3 years ago, around 10:30 on April 6th, he was fatally shot on the railway trail in Warwick. He was 37 years old at the time. On the night of his murder, Mr. Otterbridge was the first person to leave a regularly scheduled card game at a nearby Tribe Road No. 2 Warwick residence. Now, the police are also asking anyone for more information, and they thank those who have already come forward. But if you know anything, to please call 247-1739 for Jordan Otterbridge and their continuing efforts in that murder investigation. Now, secondly, in 2022, the murder of Leger Franklin as well, which is still being actively investigated. Now, this was 2 years ago. A passerby found the 18-year-old Franklin's lifeless body lying near the roundabout on the roadway leading to Clearwater Beach in St. David's shortly after 6:30 a.m. on Wednesday, April the 6th. He died of multiple gunshot wounds, and detectives believe that he was fatally shot near where he was found. Inquiries into the teen's murder initially appealed for anyone who heard any suspicious noises or saw suspicious activity in the area of Tommy Fox Road or near the Gulfstream residence at Southside between 11 p.m. on Tuesday, April the 5th. Now, one person was arrested in connection with the 18-year-old's murder, but later released on police bail. Again, police are asking anyone to come forward and reminding people of the confidential Crime Stoppers website as well as crimestoppers.bm to give more information, say what you might know. Nothing that you think is insignificant is insignificant. So whatever you do know in that case, please come forward to the police. And the final story with Shay Jennings in 2022, his murder is still being actively investigated as well. Now, he was 24 years old at the time when he was fatally shot in the parking lot of Warwick Workmen's Club on Thursday, April the 7th, around 8:30 p.m. Following a community Easter event. Mr. Jennings had been shot multiple times, and inquiries led to an initial appeal regarding 2 men on a white motorcycle heading east on Middle Road, Warwick, shortly after 8:30 p.m. on April the 7th, were arrested in connection with the 24-year-old who were on a motorcycle who wore red jackets, but they were later released on police bail as well. So they just keep repeating to the community to help bring those responsible for the murder of these young men to justice, and also to contact them if you know anything with the Crime Stoppers numbers, talking to an officer whom you trust, and anything that can help the families get justice in these cases.
That was a mouthful. And what's crazy is I remember all 3 of those cases as if they happened yesterday. And I really am in disbelief. And I'm going right back to 2009. I'm in disbelief at the amount of unsolved murders we have in such a small community. Look, I watched Dateline in 2020, literally marathons of these shows. And I've said it on this show before. Small town in middle America, somewhere in Tennessee or Missouri or North Dakota, 20,000 people. 1 murder probably every 10 years or something like that, if that. Sometimes they have to go, obviously, outside of the town to catch someone or so on. But it's almost like, because it's so rare, they always find the person. I need a case study done to understand why it's so hard for us to want people who are committing crimes like that off the streets. Because I don't know about you, but if I know someone is capable of taking another life, I'm going to feel like they're capable of taking mine. It's that simple. All right. How's the weather looking, man?
Well, today the weather's looking like a lot of bright skies throughout the entire day, but we got a high of only 69, so still not that warm yet, but you're looking at a good sun up there in the sky.
All righty. Bermudians need some good weather. Rod, you got a dance of the year for us real quickly?
Yes, and I mean this. It was hard to find one. This one's a bit obscure.
Hard to
But
find.
it's sincere. Today is National Mature Women's Day. She's distinguished, seasoned, and filled with confidence. She has lived a bit of life and is proud of the lessons she has learned along the way. Instead of worrying about getting older and losing her youth, she can celebrate the incredible beauty that comes from her wisdom and experience by taking part in National Mature Women's Day. Wise and accomplished, women embrace life's chapters, radiating strength and wisdom, a celebration of experience and resilience. So happy Mature Women's Day.
Mature Women's Day.
All right.
Fellas, I know what you're thinking, fellas. When is Men's Mature Day? Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Let the ladies have their day.
I like that silver fox. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just saying, experience comes with a lot of amazing things.
On that note, Maya, we'll see you soon.
See you soon.
A wonderful one. All right, folks, don't go anywhere. We'll continue the conversation with Sir John not with Sir John, about Sir John's possible return after this quick break. Stick with us.
Let's face it, life can be a little wild, but shopping doesn't have to be. I choose People's, so that whether it's a prescription that needs to be filled, a toy for my little terror, or a gift for a new addition to the family, we'll see about that. Everything's available in one convenient location. Some call it People's, I call it my one-stop shop in the city. People's, we're here for you.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
It took 14 days to build your business plan. 6 months to build the courage to leave your day job. 3 weeks to find the perfect location. It took 10 days to outfit your space just right. And 1 day before your first client walked in the door. All totaled, it took you a full year to get your business operational. And this is just the beginning. To the entrepreneurs, the risk takers, the people that shape our economic community, we salute you and are here for you every step of the way. BEDC, providing knowledgeable, progressive, professional, and innovative support to Bermuda businesses.
Alrighty, welcome back to the big show. Roger Danbrook, I'm Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. Please don't forget to subscribe on our website, thedailyhour.com. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. And if you haven't already, please make sure you give us a like, a love, even when there's smiley face things. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. We want to make sure that as many Bermudians as possible know that they too can be a part of the political process. We were speaking about your thoughts on Sir John's possible return to politics. Let's do our own poll live on the show, Raj. Do you believe Sir John should run in constituency 10? What are your thoughts, audience? Do you believe he should run? Yes or no? Raj, you've heard, you've read. Do you think he should run? Yes or no? Like, what are your thoughts on it?
I don't see why not. Yeah, why not? He can. I think that's the first thing. Like, the structures exist where he can run. So if you can run and you want to run. People clearly want it. I felt that 65% really threw me. It really did. I wasn't expecting that. Is it necessary? I mean, do I not understand it? No. I mean, I get why, but I wasn't expecting that 65%. And I mean, and obviously my biggest policy gripe with and I think it's really important to remember that.
Well, let's stick to this just as the audience answers. Like, do you believe Sir John should run? You say yes. I'm going to agree with Raj before we go to the audience. I'm going to say yes as well, based on what Rajay said as well. Like, why not? It's all about what the people want, right? I have no problem with him considering a run. If the people want that, which he asked, then I say go for it. But Charles H. Jefferson II says, I think he would be better than the two other options, right? Suzanne Ingham says, yes, he should run. Audience, what else would you, say? Now, the next question is, what advice would you give to voters as it relates to Sir John Swan? Like, what advice would you give to constituency 10 voters if he were to run? Like, what would you say to them? I mean, it would be, as of right now that we know, because there hasn't been a nomination day. Is it Rodney or Robert King? What's the gentleman name for the OBA? We're just going to say Mr. King. Okay, Mr. King. We're going to say, that's sad. Man,
no, we're not perfect. We're not perfect people. We are human, and we are going to embrace our imperfection and do better next time.
Okay, it's Robert King. So we have, thank you, Suzanne Ingham. Robert King, Lindsey Simmons, and potentially Sir John Swan. So what advice would you give to voters in that constituency, Raj? You were just speaking about your biggest gripe. Like, use that as a launching pad, for instance. Like,
yeah, I mean, in terms, like, obviously my biggest policy gripe with the government, right? And they've done great things, they've done not great things, has been education. Everybody knows this about me, right? And obviously, because my children are caught up in it, as are many, many other children. And the level of insincerity and games that have been played with the education portfolio has really undermined my confidence in politics in this country, and shows what happens when you want to prioritize politics over utilizing our public services how they're supposed to be utilized, right? And it seems like I feel like somebody like people with Sir John's perspective, and they're just not, their commitment to people and their competence, they're results driven, right? It's not about politics. It's about get it done and get it done properly. And that's what we need in the House, but if he does get into the House, he's just going to be one person. Maybe that one voice can bring about a shift in dynamics, not just in the House, but in the country, so that people are going to start expecting differently and demanding differently from their leaders. Who knows? But that kind of perspective and that kind of focus and that kind of competency and that kind of sincerity, I think, is what we really need in the House of Assembly right now. Not politics, not political expediency, because I think we now understand the damage that political expediency can do. And I think there are a ton of people within the Progressive Labor Party who are those things. They are sincere, they are competent. But the norm right now is politics. So maybe, if in C10 do elect Sir John, he's just going to be one person. Will he be able to sway politics? Who knows? But maybe be able to sway culture.
That's the second time you said that. I think that the second time you said that he's just one person. I think the underlying thing of why Sir John said what he said yesterday, why he did what he did, and why he's considering what he's considering, is to actually inspire others to run as independents. And so I think that one voice, or this one opportunity, or one person, is literally could be the driving force to political change, from the thought that many people feel is that party politics is past its sell-by date in Bermuda. So I get you, I completely understand you, but I do think that this could be the start of independent candidates who are not politically tied. What does that look like? I don't know, but let's go to the audience. We've got to the question of, do you think Sir John should run? WKD Lamas says not to be ageist, but no. But so you don't want him to run just because of his age? Folks, we have our youngest ever elected. He wasn't elected premier, but youngest ever serving premier. I mean, not to be an ageist, but it should scare the crap out of us to give it to anybody else that's young, considering that. If we're thinking on age, right? Renee Simmons says, why not as an independent? Yes. Shanna Smith says, sure, why not? Janet Maynard says, why not? Listening to the other two candidates, it's a yes. As far as, Sir John. Charles H. Jefferson II says, a respected voice is needed, respected by the people. Yeah. Suzanne Ingham says, I agree with you, Roger. For a young man, you got this. You understand it. You are solid, sound. Let's go back. We had some earlier comments as well. Renee Simmons said, the outer statesman brings some hope. Sir John brings new ideas for change. I want to stop there, Roger, because you mentioned new ideas, fresh faces. I agree with you. But the fact that he seems at 88 years old to have newer and fresher ideas than those who are currently in charge. And I think it's because he has a better understanding of how to make an economy work. Let's be honest. The economy has not been working. I know everyone was happy about the most recent budget speech, right? Celebrating that we're possibly going to have our first balanced budget in so long. And then, the corporate income tax, like, this hasn't happened yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're banking on hope. Now, do I hope it works out? Yes, because I want Bermuda to do well. But hope isn't results. And I think we need to understand there's a difference. Renee Simmons said he did have the opportunity to take us to independence. That didn't happen, but he sees us sinking, but not under his watch. Nicole Hassel says, very happy to see Sir John returning. It's an interesting debate, Roger. It's an interesting debate, an interesting conversation. I think that the entire country, Roger, right? Whether it's education, health, right? Safety, the economy. The entire country is extremely unhappy about something. Even those folks Sir John spoke about in the IB sector who are taking their vacations and enjoying their jobs right now, right? Right now, they have gripes about something. But the rewards they get from their careers keep them silent about those gripes. It's that balance, right? But again, if we don't speak up, if we don't act, if we don't do something, then there's going to be more Rajs and Jamals and people who speak out and raise issues and are writing. When was the last time you've seen someone like a Sir John? You've got Curtis Dickinson, who's had a great career in the private sector. But how many of those do you see now? You just don't.
Because they don't want to get involved in the fray. And why would you? Why would you when it's just a game? I mean, one thing about, and I've said this in every forum, I've said it to people's faces, and because I'm not saying anything new when I say this, right? One thing I am sick and tired of is this game, within the game of politics, convincing people or trying to convince people that things are okay when they're not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's gaslighting.
Mm-hmm.
That's manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I know facts, you know what I mean? When I know certain things and I know for fact, and then I know you're lying to me,
mm-hmm.
You're lying to my face, and then I call you out on it, and you still want to try to convince me like I'm stupid, like I don't know, and I've proven the facts.
Mm-hmm.
That right there, Jamal. And I'll go even further to say, these are things that are impacting my children.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are.
Mhm.
I don't care how long I've known you. I don't care about my relationship with you or an organization. You do things that undermine the well-being of my children.
Mhm.
All bets are off the table, son.
Well,
I'm coming for you.
well,
And that's where we're, and in terms of, and I'm talking about education policy, that's where we're at.
yeah.
And it's been characterized by this, we're not going to be honest with you about the issues. When you do bring them up, we're going to do this stupid spin and deflection nonsense.
But Rod, you know what they do? They make you and they try to convince others that you're the problem, that you're crazy, that you're the issue. You know what, Raj? Let's take a final break, come back and give our final thoughts on this topic, have the daily play and the like. But it's just so interesting how it all works. Folks, keep your comments and questions coming. We've got to take this quick break.
Considering the increasing challenges faced by financial institutions exasperated by market volatility, the need for insurance protection is a critical component of the risk management framework. At Friesenbrook, our priority is to safeguard your assets with the most optimal and cost-effective risk management cover. Therefore, we deliver a full suite of competitive insurance products to protect your business. Call us on 296-3600 to learn more about our broking services.
Hi there, welcome to Medical House. We're located at number 6 Bakery Lane. I can't wait to show you all of the great stuff that we carry. Come on inside, let's see. Long days, long shifts, you no longer have to endure comfortable underwear. Designed by nurses, we now offer premium undergarments by Swoop that are unique, fun, comfortable, and functional. The only underwear you'll ever want to wear. Who says high quality functional products can be stylish and comfortable at the same time?
Alrighty, welcome back. Thanks again to the BAC group of companies, Medicals, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we can have these conversations with you on a daily basis. If you haven't already, make sure you give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share these conversations with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Thanks again to all of you in the audience for participating as well and adding your comments. It is time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. All right, Raj, it's a remember when. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
I've got faith in you, Rajay. All right. Rajay, who was the first woman physician to practice in Bermuda?
I want to say, I like Dr. Ball comes to mind, but like she was.
Yeah, Raj.
Wait, are you kidding?
Yeah. Yeah.
That seems so late.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, what year was it? It was like the 50s, 60s.
You know what? I had the year and I took it out of my answer. Hold on, Raj. Hold on. I had it. Dang.
Dr. Ball was not that. This place was. I don't think we realized how regressive this place was.
It was in the 50s. So she was born in 1924. But yeah, she was the first woman physician to practice in Bermuda and took both Black and white patients, an unusual event in the 1950s. So
on both fronts.
We're going to give it to Anika D. Shields. We'll add her. She said Ball, but it is Dr. Barbara Ball. So we'll give it to Anika. She was the first one showed up on the screen. Yeah, Dr. Ball, that's some important information because she played an integral, like such an important role in so many things beyond just taking Black patients as well. But Raj, let's wrap today's conversation up as I know we got to roll out. But your final thoughts on this, and people are really rooting for you, Raj. Raj, you should run in C10. Rajay, another independent in his constituency, party politics is not working. So Raj, final thoughts on today's conversation regarding Sir John, independence, and maybe those in the private sector getting involved politically.
We have a country to save. Bermuda's not going anywhere, and we all deserve to experience this country at its zenith, And I always say, growing up in the 90s, I understand I was still a baby. That's 0 to 10, right? But the sense of community and cohesion and forward thinking at that point is something that left a huge impression on me. And right now, what I'm feeling around my country is disillusionment, mistrust, separation, desperation, apathy. And as a parent, it breaks my heart, especially seeing these things manifest in in education specifically, which is my intellectual and my practical passion, right? I think Sir John coming out, it's like you said so many times, it's not about him necessarily. I think he's trying to say, I'm doing this because of this, and other people need to be doing what I'm doing. People need to not discount what he's doing. People need to not discount the role of that independence could play in sort of revitalizing our political culture. And we also we need to keep our expectations high and to pursue them in all the ways that we can, right? We just need to not allow people to unilaterally define our political culture with games. The time for games is done, right? The time for games has been done, right? Rajay Denbrook's done. I've been quiet for these last few months, Jamel, because things have been popping off. I've been putting out little fires, but my passion has gone nowhere. We have a country, we all deserve to experience this country at its best. The only way that's going to happen is if we get involved. And I think that's really what Sir John is trying to say.
Yeah, I echo everything you said. You know, it's not a slogan that we have a country to save. It's real life. And all of us could do our part. But I want to tell everyone something. Saving your country is going to take more than you going to work and being a good citizen. Saving your country may take some risk, may take civil disobedience. But it's going to take more than you inside and watching a house burn, expecting someone else to put out the fire. We all have a role to play in saving Bermuda. Another message from Sir John: put your political party, your politics aside for the betterment of the country. Things evolve, people change. And we've seen that with those who represent institutions that were once there and existed for different reasons. Raj, you've got some daily inspiration to send to people on their way?
I do. A classic African proverb: the youth walk faster, but the elders know the road.
Say that again. That's for the ages out there today.
The youth walk faster, but the elders know the road.
Yeah, there you go. At the end of the day, stop dismissing people because they're too old or too young. It's about mindset. Please don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we can do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. He's Rajay Denbrook. I'm Jamel Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great day. We are is out. Peace.